It's a good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's boy Millsy. Back Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list of the commander in front of us on my quest to brew a magic world. As always, the deck list is going to be down in the description for you below, as well as I'd really appreciate it if you can interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe, consider checking out the links in the description. I'd really appreciate it. Today, we're keeping up Foundations content. With a couple new angels that we saw, I was certainly hoping that we'd get either a new angel commander or more angel sport, and they surprised me by, well, reprinting Giada Font of Hope with some cool new art. Giada is an Angels commander I took a look at back in the Brothers War, and I'm happy to take a look again because we've got a couple cool new angels, and Giada's such a great commander. A 2-mana 2/2 angel with flying and vigilance. It taps for a white mana. You can spend this mana only to cast an angel spell, but each other angel you control enters with a counter on it for each angel you already control. This is a really good ability that tends to work a lot better than you think it does. And it doesn't take very long for your angels to start getting massive when they come into the battlefield. So the goal is to play angels. Forever playing Angel Tribal, that's our goal. A lot of angels care about lifelink, and so that's really what we're going to pay off. The other reason I really wanted to cover Giada, not because it's just in the set, but because when I saw the new angels, I was like, man, I really want to go back and give angels a try. It's a tribe I've always wanted to play. Lyra Dawnbringer came out in Dominaria a couple sets after I really started playing Magic, and it was a card I always really loved. And I always wanted to play angels. I just never really took around to it. So I think with the new angel support and the reprint of Giada, I think I'm going to give Giada a shot for myself. But let's talk about angels and let's have some fun. Angels as a tribe tend to be well defined by flying white creatures with with abilities or large stat lines. And there's a lot of great mix of angels we get to play in our list. Angel of Destiny is a fun one from Zendikar Rising. Flying double striker, whenever it deals damage, whenever one of our creatures deals combat damage to a player, we and that player each gain that much life. At the beginning of our end step, if we have 15 more life than our starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attacked this turn loses the game. Here's a fun way to just potentially knock a player out without them realizing it, or maybe when they may not expect it. And alternate win con's always nice, especially when you still need to end the game by combat anyway in most scenarios. Angel of Jubilation says that other non-black creatures we control get +1/+1, and players can't pay life or sacrifice creatures to cast spells or activate abilities. This is going to shut down a lot more abilities than you think it will, and is going to really help shut down, aristocrat-style decks for what they're trying to do. Angelic Field Marshal gives all of our creatures +2/+2 in vigilance as long as we control our commander, and Giada's wants to come down as soon as possible, so that's going to almost always be the case. Archangel Tide's got that reprint in OTJ. If it's untapped, creatures can't attack us or planeswalkers we control unless their controller pays 1 for each of them. And if Archangel of Tides is attacking, creatures can't block unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. That's an important ability that I don't think a lot of people talk about. Is because a lot of time in Commander Raid, we tend to use all of our mana and we pass the turn, meaning that potentially with Tides out, our angels may completely be unblockable. Boombringer Valkyrie is a 4-mana 5-cost angel with flying, first strike, and lifelink. When it comes in, we get to use its backup ability, giving a counter to another creature. And if we want to, they get flying, first strike, and lifelink until the end of that turn, which is a great ability to start passing around, especially for one turn. Exemplar of Light is one of the new cards, a 4-mana 3/3 that whenever we gain life, we put a counter on it. And then when we put one or more counters on it each turn, we get to draw a card once per turn. So a nice ability and a little bit of card draw is always helpful, especially lower down on the mana curve. Bruna the Fading Life and Gisa the Broken Blade each can meld together into Gisela the Broken Blade, a big angel. I didn't actually put it on the screen, but the point is they're both pretty good on their own. And then when you meld them together, they get even better. Bruna is a 7-mana 5/7 that can return an angel from her graveyard back to the battlefield, flying vigilance. Gisela I've always liked a little bit more. A 4-mana 4/3 flying, first strike, lifelink that can start gaining us life. And then again, if we control both of them at our end step, we get to flip them over, and the backside is pretty cool. Herald of Eternal Dawn, one of the new angels, the new premier angel. 7-mana 6/6 flash flying. You can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. So that classic Platinum Angel effect is back on a white angel, this time at flash speed, which is pretty cool. Could be beneficial there. And not a bad body. If we can protect it, could be a way to keep us in a game, even if our opponents are going off. Herald of War gets a counter on it whenever it attacks. But angel and human spells we cast cost 1 less for each counter on it. This is really nice since it's probably going to come in with counters from Giada anyway. And it's going to start reducing our really expensive angels down, hopefully to just white mana. Norn's Choir Master says whenever a commander we control enters or attacks, we proliferate. Since Giada's having so many of our angels come in with counters, this means that whenever Giada attacks, we're going to end up proliferating and getting more counters right on all of our angels. Sanctuary Warden from Capenna is pretty cool, a 6-mana 5/5. That comes in with 2 shield counters to protect it. And then whenever it enters or attacks, we can remove a shield counter. If we do, we get a token and draw a card. But otherwise, I think Sanctuary Warden's worth just keeping the counters on it to help keep it alive from protection and removal. Safar can come in for just a white mana and tapping 4 untapped creatures we control if we want to, or we can pay the full cost for it. And gives other creatures with flying indestructible, a great way to keep our flyers alive. Youthful Valkyrie got that really nice reprint and jumpstart. Whenever an angel comes in, you put a counter on Youthful Valkyrie, a way to grow it over the course of a game. Was an expensive angel, so I'm glad it got that reprinted. It's pretty helpful. And then Luminarch Ascension is an enchantment that says at the beginning of each opponent's end step, if we didn't lose life that turn, we put a quest counter on it. And as long as there's 4 more quest counters on it, we can pay 2 mana to get an angel. And that's important because certain cards care about angels coming in, so this can actually do that. As far as buffing the team goes, there's a lot of ways to do this. At the middle there's Lyra that I was talking about earlier, giving all of our angels +1/+1 in lifelink. Thraben Watcher gives all of our non-token creatures +1/+1 in vigilance. Sarah the Benevolent, one of the only planeswalkers that are angels, or angel planeswalkers, can give all our creatures with flying +1/+1 in a turn, can make an angel, or you get an emblem with if you control a creature, damage that will reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead, a way to keep yourself alive, potentially. Things like Patchwork Banner from Bloomborough work great, adding mana and giving a +1/+1 across the board. We have things like Gauntlet of Power, which give that +1/+1, but double up the amount of mana we get out of each of our planes. And then playing that new Banner of Kinship. When it comes in, you get a fellowship counter for each of the chosen type of creature you control, and then creatures get +1/+1 for each fellowship counter on it. So a great way, once you have a good board state set up, to buff all your angels for the rest of the game. Radiant Destiny, +1/+1 to all of our creatures. We get Vigilance if we have the City's Blessing. Flower of the White Tree is great because we do have a lot of legendary angels in the deck, so they're going to get that +2/+1 in Ward 1. Otherwise, they just get that +1/+1. And then Cathar's Crusade, a classic white creature finisher. Whenever a creature comes in, put a counter on each other creature. Again, the more creatures that come in, the more counters we pass around, and the bigger our angels are going to get. But I think what the angels really excel at is caring about life gain. Life gain matters, and it's a thing that really matters in our deck, since some of our angels have lifelink, but there's a lot of things in the deck that care about them. Angel Vitality says if we ever would gain life, we gain that life +1 instead. Archangel of Thune, one of our big top-end angels. Whenever we gain life, we put a counter on each creature we control, just getting out of control, putting a bunch of counters on. Resplendent Angel, kind of one of those classic angel effects. If we would gain beginning of each end step on each turn, if we've gained more than 5 life that turn, we make a 4/4 angel, and we can give it lifelink if we want to. But again, if we have a board full of angels with lifelink, that's very easy to accomplish on every turn if people are attacking us. Righteous Valkyrie, another one of those new angels that came out in Kaldheim that was really beneficial. Whenever another angel comes in, you gain life equal to its toughness. Remember that those angels with the Giada out come in with the counters, meaning you're going to gain more. And then if you have 7 or more life, then you're starting life total +2/+2 to each of your angels. Harbinger has that very similar ability to Resplendent Angel. Instead, it's just 4 instead of 5 to make that angel. And then Caduceus, giving the equipped creature lifelink. And then as long as you have 30 or more life, the equipped creature has +5/+5 and gets indestructible. And prevent all damage would be dealt to it. It's not a bad way to give a creature we want lifelink so it can attack and gain us life back. And with so many creatures in the air, this generally will mean most of the time that we're gaining a ton of life back when we get to Caduceus and put it on something. Book of the Adulted Deeds and Angelic Accord both make angels as long as we've gained enough life on that turn. Book is only on our turn, whereas Angelic Accord is on everyone's turn. Book also has the option for a triple white to exile itself and put in a light encounter on a target angel you control, and it gains. You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. So another option to have that fun effect, right, for our opponents. And then Cleric class has that if you would gain life, gain that much +1. If we can get up to level 2, we start passing counters around whenever we gain life. And we get to level 3, we can return a creature back from our graveyard back to the battlefield and gain some life to its toughness. But it's mainly here for these first 2, gaining the little bit extra life and then spreading counters around when it does. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. No deck's ever complete. This is our version, well, 2.0, but version 1.0. So this has been a long time since we looked at Giada. And there's some things we can learn in testing. And I think at least one of the cards here, someone will be surprised that it hasn't been talked to about yet. And the reason Avacyn isn't in the deck is just simply the cost of Avacyn. Avacyn is not a cheap card. I love Avacyn. I think it's probably one of my favorite angels that's ever been printed. But it's not a cheap card. And when I was trying to make the deck on some sort of budget, it was one I had to give up for this episode. But I will be trying for my version of Giada. I think Avacyn is a great card, giving your entire board of permanents indestructible. Forcing your opponents to have exile removal and exile mass removal to get rid of your creatures is a big thing, and will help you kind of work your way towards finishing the game. Roaming Throne, everybody's favorite angel. Of course, Roaming Throne goes in every tribal deck if you want it to be there, and it's great for Giada and a lot of our other angels doubling up on their triggers. And then Virtual Loyalty, giving +1/+1 counters and vigilance. We have other ways to give vigilance in the deck and other things. I think Virtue makes sense, but I think the deck can survive without it, unlike other counters decks where I think they really want the Virtue for its abilities. Let's get into testing. Let's have some fun. Let's see what we can do. Keeping a 2-lander with Arcane Signet, Angel of Vitality, Generous Gift, Book, and Cleric class. So turn 1 here, I think we'll get the Cleric class down. Turn 2, I think it's just Giada. I mean, I think the Arcane Signet makes sense, but either way, we're kind of down on mana. I'd rather get the Giada out and get that process started. So now here on turn 3, we can get the Vitality down. Or we can get the Book down. If I get the Arcane Signet down, I can still, with Giada, get the Vitality down, and it comes in right with 1 counter because of Giada. So now we have our board of mana, right, getting started. Turn 4 at 6 mana because of Giada. We're just 1 off of Sephara. So I think I would play the Book here. I would love a way to gain some life. I just don't have it quite yet. So we could go attacking, right, if we want to here in the air. Leave. We can't leave up the Generous Gift. That's a-okay. I think we still want to get the Book down for future turns where we can potentially take advantage of it. All right, well, there's Sarah, but I think we just put Sephara down. It comes in with 2 counters. All of our other flying creatures have indestructible, and it has lifelink. So next turn we can start gaining some big life, right? So on turn 6 here, we're looking to gain some life. We'll play Sephara. I think we just tick her up to give everything +1/+1, go to combat. We're going to gain 9 life off the Sephara, 10 and 11 instead because of the Cleric class. So we're going to trigger Book of the Exalted Deeds. We're going to have, we're going to get that 3/3 angel at the end of turn. And now we're padding our life total a little bit, right? It does have Vitality could have attacked it, or could have attacked there as well if we wanted to. Same thing with Giada. But otherwise, gaining the life was important because now we got an extra angel. That angel actually is going to come in with 3 counters on it because remember that it doesn't say non-token. So, you know, now we're making 6/6 angels with the Book. Come back to our turn. Entreat the Angels has a miracle cost, so we're allowed to play it for its miracle cost if we want to, which would probably feel pretty good. That would be X as 5 for the miracle cost, making 5 4/4 angels with flying. So the 5 angels are going to all come in at the same time, meaning that they will see the rest of the angels and all the rest of them. So they're each going to come in with, what, 8 counters on them? Huge angels. You know, Sephara can attack, and now, I mean, we're just off to the races, right? I mean, if no one wipes the board or gets rid of Sephara, we're just untapping with a ton of angels in the air. And I think we're pretty set to end that playtest there as far as what that particular playtest is going to end up as. We could always take up the cleric class to gain a little bit more advantage off life, but like, let's be 100% honest. We just take down Sarah to protect ourselves, and we probably just have that game right there in the bag. Playtest number 2, keeping a 3-lander with Youthful Valkyrie, Herald of Eternal Dawn, Angel of Indemnity, and Righteous Valkyrie. So kind of got an interesting curve started up here. We'll get the Henge in tap turn 1, since there's probably nothing we're going to do turn 1 anyway. Turn 2, I guess there's the option between the Valkyrie and Giada, but I think I kind of like Giada to start here. Just so that way here on turn 3, we can have lots of options. We could play Youthful Valkyrie, but that's really going to be it, right? I think I kind of want to get Youthful Valkyrie down first, just so we can get it growing. There's not going to be really much, right, happening this turn anyway. So I think that's okay. We could even attack with Giada there. Turn 4, 5 mana now. We want to get another Angel down. I'd get the Valkyrie down. That's going to put a counter on Righteous Valkyrie, and then it's going to put 2 counters, or a counter on Youthful Valkyrie, 2 on Righteous Valkyrie. So now we'll start gaining some life on our other Angels, and we can, you know, make some attacks with Giada if we want to. I actually realized I could have Folk Hero and Righteous Valkyrie, so we'll do that just for the purposes of using our mana efficiency there, and we're in an environment where it's okay to stop and think through our plays. Turn 6 here, no land, but that's a-okay. Still got 5 mana. And the Folk Hero will draw us a card. Remember, if we put a creature in, it will draw us a card. And we'll also gain some life. I think Exemplar doesn't feel like a bad option here. So we play the Exemplar. We'll draw off the Folk Hero. Exemplar comes in. It's going to come in with 3 counters on it, because we have 3 other Angels. That's going to get Valkyrie a counter. Righteous Valkyrie is going to gain a 6 life. When we gain the life, Exemplar is going to put another counter on itself and draw us a card. And now we'll get a land down there, right? And now, again, now we're above 7 life, probably from our starting life totals. We got that +2/+2 across the board. I think we're going in the right direction now, right? Getting good value down, getting stuff on the board state. There we go. The Angelic Accord would help a ton with replacing the Angels that are on the board. We do also have the option of something like Herald of Eternal Dawn to protect ourselves a little bit. I think I guess there's a couple options there. My gut almost says Angelic Accord into Angel of Vitality. Vitality comes with 4 counters in on it. You know, Righteous Valkyrie gains a 6 life. Counter on the Valkyrie, counter on the Exemplar, draw us a card, right? 7 because of Vitality. Turns on the Accord, so we're going to get the Angel on end step. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of where, I think, to me, that line makes the most sense. We attack this turn, right, with our Flying Angels. We're dealing big damage here. Again, the only thing we are at risk of is protecting our board, right? But I think we're going to force our opponents pretty quickly to deal with that. Otherwise, we're going to, right, start running over our opponents, right? Untap for another turn here, turn 8. 7 mana on board, plus the 8th from Giada. I like the idea of Caduceus, get it onto Giada. It has Indestructible right now, right? Is it something like Righteous Valkyrie to keep getting the life gain? I guess there's different opinions there, but that's 3+2, so we've got 3 mana left. But it could only be for a creature. I guess I don't have it. But this now has lifelink, attack. It's a 9/9 with lifelink, so we're going to gain 9. Exemplar gets a counter, draw a card. You know, get the token on end step, gain some more life, right? And I think this is another good place to stop. You could see we set it up. We set the board state up. Again, I wish we would have seen one of our protection spells this game just to leave up just in case. But I think if a board wipe happens, we can easily just get Giada back down. The Caduceus stays out, so we can get it reattached to Giada to start keep gaining some life when we have a couple more Angels back down. Monumental Henge can start digging for legendary creatures, so we can start digging for potentially more Angels that way. I think there's some options there. But the truth of the reality is we're just going to keep making tokens. If someone tries to attack us, maybe we can attack with one of our life linking blockers. But honestly, I think otherwise, like, this is just one of those examples where the Angels are just probably going to take over the game in the air, and somebody really has to have a difference making play, right, to stop the Angel. Otherwise, this, right, just takes over the game in the air. I know that's kind of basic, but the truth of the matter is that's what I think most Angels decks are going to come down to. You either wipe the board or they're going to take the game over in the air, and we're just going to keep growing. In 2 hands, we only saw a certain cross-section of all of our Angels, but I think in other games you're going to see other ones. You're going to see more ways to gain life. You're going to see different options. And I mean, we are packing ways to protect the board of Angels as well. We just didn't see them on that game. But let me know, what do you think of Giada? Have you tried out an Angel deck? I'd love to hear what you think of Giada down in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys next.